there's been a lot of talks about like single motherhood and its effects on raising YNs, its effects on people who essentially grow up without fathers in their households. And I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of Blackie Speaks, but like if you watch my videos, you probably have. He does like commentary on different things going on within the rap community. And one thing I noticed is that like a lot of black males, especially just men in general, have like this conception that the things that affect us at a granular level when it comes to our deviancies and likelihood of conforming to society, a lot of these things come from the notion of the family, or the fiction of the family, the body of the family, which seems to have no biological internal mechanisms itself, whereas it's more so a combination of all of the things we allot to it at a more abstracted level within society. Basically, why do we do things within this community where society would associate it with antisocial tendencies? Or why does it seem like there's this belief within the black community that a lot of guys need to be a part of a bad familial institution in order to exhibit signs of antisocial behavior? I know that's not necessarily the whole case. I just think that it is a popular thought within the big 2025, and that's crazy because it's 2025 and people still hold the Oedipus complex on a pedestal. It's like there's much more interpretations to look at in life that can give us clues as to why people behave the way they do outside of just the structure of the family. And one thing I like that Michael Foucault, who's this postmodernist philosopher, he's not really a philosopher, but he's like a social critic. One thing he said was that, during the 19th century, the family as a concept itself began to be propagated with certain functions from the externalities of society that forced them to conform from an internal standpoint, meaning you have the mom, dad, the sister, the brother, right? But really what you have from the perception of somebody who has been indoctrinated by the Oedipus complex system, or the definitely pro-capitalist system where socioeconomic expectations individuated into separate bodies, is a popular thought. Within this type of complex, and specifically within different areas of the internet, a lot of people believe that, yes, there are social roles, there is God, and the woman is supposed to be the domestic manager. The man is supposed to be the breadwinner, right? The ultimate competitor within the family that goes out into the current socioeconomic structure we live in today and produces, right? Brings home the bacon. And then I can't believe I said that like that. But the third one that a lot of people miss is that the child is supposed to be the worker in training. And this notion that to be somebody who is antisocial, you have to be mad in a sense, is kind of demeaning. But let's take something very nuanced that you do that isn't acceptable within your community. They will see that as rebellion or deviousness. And then that manifests into a self-healing capability or mechanism that the family creates itself according to the believers of the Oedipus complex, whether they believe it directly or indirectly. That manifests into a self-healing process that seeks to correct itself based on problems that technically don't even exist. I think of doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, people that go to therapists. I think of those people like technical support. You have different controls within an enterprise that allows different companies to automate their business processes, right? And I'm losing my focus right now. These business processes are automated using certain tools, right? Infrastructure as code tools, configuration management tools. These fit heavily into how you can relate personal interactions within our physical reality. You can clearly see the distinction between how we control our technology at a socio-technical level in how we treat human beings. That's my point. And when it comes to the Oedipus complex, you have all of these different automation tools that come from the outside world that say, look, bro, you have to behave this way, and you have to command your internal company to behave this way. This is why there's an emphasis within certain communities that the household has a certain theme, a certain vibe, a code that is moral that a lot of people follow. And I think one thing that I have to think about in terms of the granularity of this type of control is how effective it is. Because you really have families that internally try to correct problems that don't exist within their children. And then when things happen a certain way, it's like, what happened? But nothing had to happen in the first place. It's just that people wanted to invoke outside influences into their relationship with something that is supposed to be innate and internal because of expectations, societal control. I'm all for a father being within the household, but I don't think that their absence is the problem with a lot of young black men today. I think that's a cop-out for a higher issue that exists on an economic level, a communal level, people connecting to machines that inject them with desire, or at least don't even inject them with desire. They connect to these machines with their machines, because if you think about it, your organs, your eyes, your mouth, your construction of sense in general, they connect to these machines, right? And then they experience, and you experience all of these different flows within the world that can be information, data, experiences, reactions from people. Like that girl who I told the possum was right by her and she didn't like say anything. In my mind, I was like, how could she just ignore me like that? Maybe she just didn't hear me. But like, I just couldn't I was like, it is ridiculous that I feel like this, but I was just trying to be nice. Like, I was just trying to talk to somebody. It's like when I actually try to be a normal person and say hey to people, it's like I get reactions like that. And when I'm being mean, people want to be in my life, and it's kind of annoying. But I digress. I guess the point is that I took that flow from that interaction with that girl and I let it influence how my next moves were going to be created within the world. And I think a lot of people are being affected by this subconsciously. They're not even aware that these external influences that they connect to shapes their reality. They can't fathom the idea that there are things outside of themselves that they don't control. And I think that's why we scapegoat the family as this scarecrow that can take the blunt of being the causality to other people's imperfections within society. It's like, as long as I have this to blame, once it fails, I can always have this. This is why you hear a lot of people say, oh, if I had more support from my family, or if I was raised better, or if I had more opportunity growing up. It's like, yes, that is something you definitely need. Opportunity itself is a connection to something, right? A connection to what Deleuze or Guattari would call the body without organs. The concept of something that exists higher within yourself that's a facilitator of flow. But I truly think that we have to question the body without organs. We have to question the abstract concepts, the gods, the religions, the states of the world, the companies also, which are abstract and don't exist within physical reality. We have to question these bodies without organs in order to ask ourselves if there is a better scapegoat.